Our next speaker coming up has held a few titles. One leading circular economy and battery programs across many continents, at least more than 3. When he was at Amazon, he's had, I think, the coolest title I've been able to say, which is Environmental Intelligence Briefer to Secretary John Kerry. That's pretty cool. And now he is figuring out how to unlock the many trillions of value that are flowing through our economy in the metals that are already there in existence. And he's going to tell you about the new inconvenient truth today on stage. Please join me in welcoming to the stage, Grayson Shor. Right on.
All right, hello everyone. I don't know if it was a social truth or just a truth. That talk was really good. So I was sitting back there listening to that. Was excellent. Hello everybody, pleasure to be here with you today. I'm going to talk to us a little bit about the new inconvenient truth. So in 2006, Al Gore told us a truth about how our planet is changing. Today, I'm here to tell you the inconvenient truth about the solution itself. By the end of this talk, you'll understand why the technology we're betting our future on is heading towards a crisis we haven't seen coming, and why the solution isn't somewhere on Earth we haven't looked yet. It's everywhere around us. We're electrifying everything. Cars, buildings, glasses. It's the defining technology of the decade. As electrification grows, so does demand for its key input, critical minerals. Lithium demand will go 5-fold by 2040, copper demand by 1/3, and the same for cobalt and nickel. Let's take copper, for example. Projections show that without new mineral supply, we're heading towards a 30% copper shortage by 2035. Furthermore, copper ore grades have declined 40% since 1991. Only 14 new copper deposits have been discovered in the past decade, compared to 225 in the prior 23 years. And that's despite increased capital expenditure on headcount and exploration. Oh, and then there's the timeline issue. It takes nearly 29 years to open a new mine in the United States. Compare that to 7 years in China and around the global average of 18 years. So, we're in a situation where demand is accelerating, ore quality is declining, and new mines will only come online once demand is higher than supply. And we're already starting to see supply chain fragility and national security risks emerge. I like to call critical minerals the vitamins of industry. Needed in tiny amounts, but when they're cut off, the entire economy gets sick. In 2025, this is exactly what happened. A lot of you in the room may remember this. China restricted rare earth exports for just a few weeks, and factories across Europe, the US, and Japan went dark. Magnet components that were normally sold for 40 cents each were being sold for $15 each. And rare earth prices in Europe were 6 times those of what we were seeing in China at the time. The auto sector is not alone. Nearly every part of the US tech sector, from energy to defense, is predominantly reliant on critical minerals and predominantly reliant on one country for those critical minerals. And lest we forget, too, that when China made those restrictions last year, they paused them for 1 year. And that 1-year delay kicks back in November of this year. The IEA recently released a report that found that if those restrictions were put back in to their fullest extent, it would have a $6.5 trillion impact annually on the economy outside of China. Despite all of this, we only recover 22% of e-waste. The other 78%, that goes to landfills, export dumping, or sits in what I like to call sock drawer purgatory. It's stuck in folks' sock drawers, their closets, and storage rooms across the world. Let's put this into context. In 2022, the world generated 62 million metric tons of waste. If you took trucks and put them bumper to bumper and filled them up with that e-waste, it would stretch all the way around the equator. The metals embodied in that waste were worth approximately $91 billion. We threw away $63 billion in recoverable metals in a single year. Look, the problem is this. We've focused on opening new mines instead of unlocking the mine in front of us. We've focused on digging deeper and waiting longer instead of using what's already above ground. The solution to one of the greatest challenges of our era is not down, it is around. And here's the economic miracle. E-waste has dramatically higher concentrations than virgin ore. The highest grade copper mines yield around 5% copper per ton. Electronics are 40% copper by weight. A single ton of circuit boards can contain around 300 grams of gold. Traditional gold ore mines yield around 1 to 3 grams per ton. This isn't a small advantage. This is a 10 to 100x concentration difference depending on the metal. The urban mine isn't just valuable, it's the highest grade mineral deposit on the planet. It's in every city, every home, and every business, and yet we've decided to call it waste. We've all heard you can't manage what you can't measure. I like to add to this, you can't sell what you can't price. Our economic system is fantastic at measuring virgin material inputs and pricing new products. We give comparatively little attention to tracking where these materials go and how to price used products. So we just value it as $0 as waste. We need to change this to incentivize circularity. So how do we fix it? We make the invisible visible. The moment an end-of-life asset can be measured and priced in real time, 3 things happen. Markets form, capital follows, and recovery follows too. Kelley Blue Book did this for cars. Used car pricing used to be a guess. Kelley Blue Book made it known and defensible. The market boomed. Today, 95% of end-of-life vehicles are recovered. Energy and industrial assets, perhaps the most critical mineral-rich asset category we have, has no Blue Book. That's what my company, Buckstop, has built. Real-time defensible valuations that make every solar, storage, data center assets value visible so that the market for it can form. A Kelley Blue Book for energy and industrial assets. When we make these assets visible, we help unlock an entirely new asset class. It's estimated that circular business models could unlock $4.5 trillion globally by 2030. That is not a cost, that is the economic opportunity of the decade. And if you don't believe me, ask the $4 trillion mineral-reliant industries in the United States. So, what can you do? If you run a data center, your decommissioned hardware is a mineral deposit. Mine it. If you manage capital, the urban mine is an asset class. The first to price it will own the market. If you write policy, unfortunately we have tax credits for oil, build them for circularity. If you make products, design them to be recycled and reused. We don't solve climate change by only burning fewer fossil fuels. We solve it by creating better alternatives. The same is true for critical minerals. We won't solve this by mining deeper or faster. We'll solve it by mining smarter. My friends, 20 years ago, almost exactly to the day, Al Gore showed us what we were losing and how our climate was changing. Today, the inconvenient truth is that the solution itself has been inconvenient to see. Not because it doesn't exist, but because we've built a short-sighted economy that prefers the convenience of waste. Something is only waste if we decide to ignore its value. And to that, I say, let's build a more valuable future.